Hello, my name is Dave Esposito from Boom Film Festival, and this is a review for the film called Now That You're Back. But before we get into that, like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want your film reviewed and you want your film submitted to the festival, go to filmfreeway.com/boomfilmfestival, submit it there. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into this film. Okay, let's get into the credits first. I'll tell you about some of these credits. Okay, director, writer, producer, Seth Hope Barnard, Chodzko. Did I say that right? Cast: Conor Deane played Connor, Edward Kelly played Liam, Nick Preston, Reese, Rebecca Manley, Janet, and Natalie Gavin, Janet's friend. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the synopsis. After the suicide of a childhood friend, Connor and Liam reunite to choose his burial clothes. Their grief pulls up old memories, tension, and regret. Okay, let's get into this one. Let us get into it. The review. All right. So, the story. It's very natural and grounded feeling. Felt so authentic. Just the situation. The whole premise that these childhood friends are going to pick out these clothes for their friend. It's a really specific kind of concept, but it feels like a realistic situation. Like how things would really happen after someone passes away. And, you might need to help out and do these kind of mundane things like picking out the clothes. And it's just a really great idea and like a good kind of backdrop for, a lot of these emotions to come out regarding what happened. So I also liked how the film starts with kind of a mystery. It doesn't like lay it all out for you. Like piece by piece, you start putting it together, what's going on. And it's intriguing, like it grabs you. It wasn't like a character just coming out and saying, this guy passed away. It's like you had to like pay attention. And the film wasn't so on the nose about things. It was just let things unfold in a more natural way. It was awesome. Something else I noticed, about this film that I think is kind of interesting is that when I first watched it, there's kind of a section in the middle where it starts to feel a little draggy, like it's dragging a little bit, where the friends are walking through the town and they're walking into his house, and I started to get a little antsy just because that's me. I'm an antsy guy. I don't like waiting for stuff. But upon further reflection, and like I watched it a second time, it actually feels perfect. Like that, the fact that it was slow and empty feeling, like that's how it feels sometimes. When you lose someone, there's like this depression, there's like this emptiness, there's like I talked about, like this feeling of mundaneness in life. Like things just feel dead and dreary and dull and and it captured that beautifully. So my impatient self the first time around was like, all right, let's get this going. But on the second viewing, I'm like, no, this is perfect. Then at the end, there's a bit of a reveal. I like reveals. And it's basically revealing to the audience that the main character, the main friend, received a call from the friend who killed himself. And he had like a grudge because they had a fight earlier. And he didn't like answer the phone. And his friend, then killed himself that night. And that was such like an emotional reveal. Like, basically if he would have picked up the phone and maybe hung out with his friend, maybe he could have prevented this from happening. So it captures the guilt of that moment and that reveal. It was just very powerful. And the film is saying something about, as I interpreted it, like, don't hold on to grudges. It's not worth it. And, try to be there for people that you cared about. Even if maybe you're fighting, or you have some disagreements, like, you got to try to be there for people that matter to you, or else something like that could happen. And that was very powerful, dude. So many films that we get, and I'm not trying to hate, but a lot of times it's like, what's the point of this? What is this saying, this film? It just feels like a film for the sake of being a film. But this is a film that is saying something more. And that resolution, that reveal is so, it's just very climactic. And I really like that structure in a film where there's this climactic moment and there is a reveal and there's this payoff. And then there's this kind of empty feeling afterwards, like this main character is kind of beginning the journey of trying to, like, grieve and maybe forgive himself and move on and try to move past the guilt he feels. And so this is a step forward for this character on a journey that he's going to have to take after the film is over to get through this and process it and all that stuff. So I thought the structure of this was like perfect. The ending, the resolution, the reveal, it was just perfectly written. The dialogue felt, very realistic. In the beginning there was a fight as well that felt super realistic, with the friends arguing, and it was just very natural and authentic. Okay? All right, let's get into acting. Acting was amazing. All the actors were super good, very realistic, natural, and they had range, because in the beginning they're kind of messing around and playing around. Then it turns into a fight, and then there's more of like a, depressing kind of feel later on, and all the characters just capture that perfectly. Even like characters that may not have shown up for much time, they didn't get many lines, but it all felt real. All the actors contributed to making this feel like a real situation in a real world where this was going on. And there's also good chemistry between the friends. They felt like friends from a long time. I believed that. And that is important. And that's like a theme I'm seeing with this film, is every little detail was thought out, because it feels like the director is trying to make this feel like a real, authentic situation, from the dialogue to the acting. Every aspect of it is meant to put you in this world that feels real, in this situation that feels real. And it succeeds. Okay, I'm rambling. Now let's talk a little bit about the cinematography and some editing stuff. There's some shaky cam moments in the beginning that I liked. Nice shots in terms of, a little bit of movement and some good framing and composition. It wasn't super flashy, because that's not what this film called for. The cinematography, the coloring, the framing, it was just all appropriate, and it just tied into the tone, this kind of dreary, sad feel. But also, even the colors kind of gave you a little bit of hope, because there's beauty in a lot of these shots and locations. And it also, again, felt very grounded, the locations that they went to. It just felt like a real place. It's like world building. You know, it all felt authentic. The visuals were very good, and technically there was no issues in terms of lighting or coloring or anything like that. Now let's get into a little bit of the music and sound. The music was great, and it was used at the appropriate moments, and it elevated the moments where there was a lot of emotion, and you know, the climactic part of the reveal. The music was there, but it was also absent when it wasn't needed, and the silence also, you know, worked well in certain moments in the film. So they made good decisions regarding when to use it, when not to use it, and the music itself was great. And again, it elevated those moments that were emotional and really helped like make you feel it. So overall, I thought this film was incredibly well written, from the natural dialogue to the amazing story, the premise, the arc, the resolution, the reveal. It was all extremely well written. It was practically perfect in terms of the writing. And then when it comes to the acting, all the actors acted very naturally, very authentic and believable, and helped just sell the whole story and the environment and the world that was built here. And especially the main actor, Conor Deane, delivers an incredible performance that is versatile and emotional, and you really feel his guilt. It's just super powerful, incredibly impressive. The visuals were beautiful. Everything was very thoughtfully done in terms of the shots, the framing, the feeling it evoked of this kind of empty, sad, depressing kind of, you know, atmosphere. The music also, the sound, it all was flawless and all just came together perfectly. I have literally no notes on this one. Nothing about it I would change. I think it's one of the best films we've received, a contender for lots of awards. Yeah, this one is the one to beat. All right, that is pretty much it. That was a review for the Boom Film Festival. So I'm giving this film a 5 out of 5. All right, that was a review. This is the Boom Film Festival. If you're watching this and you want your film reviewed, go to filmfreeway.com/boomfilmfestival, submit it there, and it'll also be considered for awards for the festival and stuff. It's both. It's a video review and it's a submission to the festival. Boom. All right, and also don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. Boom.